Hello there. Welcome to a stream. Okay. I'll address it first. You thought you missed it last Friday. Well, I've been making up my sleep schedule completely on a lot of things, to be honest. So actually, I was planning to do it last week, the Friday, because it's Saturday usually, and so this is Monday morning for me. But it's interesting time zones and stuff. And so, yeah, I've been making myself over because I would do things into the night and forget to set my alarm and just sleep through. And hey, it's a vibe, right? I wasn't in a shave, but I didn't last night. I don't know why I didn't. Oh well, I'm here. My hair's wayward. I've done stuff. And this will be good. I'm going to talk about the importance of lore and continuity. But I thought I would give this a few minutes to see how people are going. I will probably share this as well and see how it's going. Whoops, I just heard myself. That was weird. It's weird when I hear myself, when it's my normal voice. Or like when I'm streaming on Twitch and stuff and I use a voice changer, it is different. I think as well, while I'm going, I will mention and talk about my lack of content because this is the first thing that's been on here in 2 weeks. In a minute. But yeah, I have ended up not really being super motivated to edit things. I have 2 planets worth of SWTOR that I just need to edit and put up. I've got Lego Star Wars 3 that I did live that I can edit and put up. Now, what I was thinking for a lot of the stuff with separate games like Lego Star Wars 3 that I'm not streaming, that I was streaming, but they're separate games that I think I will bring them back to being pre-recorded. I need to work out my schedule and do all of that. And I'm going to have to be strict on myself on the time I take to do it. But I think I'm going to have to actually do that. Because I think that it ends up, in a way, better. Because it's more personal for you guys. I'm doing it for YouTube. I'm talking about stuff in the way that I can improve as a way of a gaming YouTuber there. And stuff like that. But it's just a thing of motivation. Also, yeah, we have a couple of things. I'll do this to start off with because we talk about EU news and stuff like that. So where is it? Here it is. Hang on. I gotta find it and click it. There's stuff on the side. I haven't made a video of this thing. Connection is unstable. Why you gotta be like this, internet? Why you gotta do me like this? Oh well, they said it's better now. I'm gonna shift things over because it's easier to look at the article on the big screen. If I share screen and boop, window, Chrome tab, yes, this one. And here we go. The Black Series and Vintage Collection figures to celebrate the Clone Wars 2D Micro Series. Wrong one that I have 11. That'll make it a bit better looking at it. So we're getting some figures from the 2003 Micro Series, which is pretty cool. I don't remember when they're coming out. I haven't kept track of figures too closely, to be honest. I'm going to do this because then you can see me better and it's more personal. I should put the link for this down below. Just in case you want to see it, I'll chuck it in the chat. Read it for yourself. Hasbro, this was July 21st. It's almost been a whole month and I haven't talked about it. Hopefully, I'm gonna make myself do some more of this stuff because I do enjoy it. And I'll talk about something else afterwards. But at long last, the classic Star Wars cartoon is getting the action figure treatment. Hasbro revealed on July 21st several additions to its popular 6-inch Star Wars The Black Series and 3.75-inch Star Wars The Vintage Collection lines devoted solely to Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars 2D Micro Series, a beloved show from the early 2000s that explored the time between Star Wars Attack of the Clones and Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Known for its kinetic style, the Clone Wars 2D Micro Series introduced major characters like General Grievous and would also inspire the long-running and critically acclaimed Star Wars The Clone Wars series. When the series apparently, when it was added to Disney Plus, apparently fans were overjoyed. Oh, hello CJH, it's good to see you. I have been needing to get myself sorted out with my own schedule a bit more of doing stuff, but it's good to see you joining in the comments here. So yeah, they added the 2003 micro series to Disney Plus. I don't have Disney Plus, so it makes little difference to me. Just because budget, I wouldn't watch it enough to be worth it. And I great some of the Star Wars EU stuff is on there, like droids and Ewoks as well now, which is really cool. But they put the cartoon from the holiday special, but not the whole holiday special. Anyway, I'm also talking about this CJH before we get into the main topic, because that gives people time to join. I don't know how easy it is to read for you guys. I don't know which view's better, but I feel like my face being bigger is fine. I put the link in the chat, so yeah. The characters making the jump to the Black Series include ARC Trooper, Mace Windu, and General Grievous, while Ayla Secura, Luminara, and Dooley, Barriss Offee, ARC Trooper Captain, ARC Trooper, and Battle Droid during the Vintage Collection. Now, the naming of it is a bit odd, because it's ARC Trooper Captain instead of Fordo, but that is how it is credited in the micro series. I feel like that is a lack of care and attention to detail that they want to put in when releasing EU figures a little bit, because they could just look up who it is from other information in the EU and put it in, but they don't really want to acknowledge that, do they? So they're just gonna go by, oh yeah, we put it on Disney Plus, oh great, we can look at the credits for the names instead of actually using other information to inform on, wait, this might actually have a name. Oh, hang on. Carnor Jax might be Kirk Hanos. What? Anyway, all come from existing releases that have new decos inspired by the vibrant style of the series. So they're reusing molds. And the Vintage Collection packaging also incorporates the show's beautiful artwork, which is cool. In contrast, the packaging for the Black Series items will celebrate the original packaging of these toys from the early 2000s. Continuing the throwback theme seen in Lucasfilm 50th programs, including the previously revealed the Clone Wars, Star Wars Phantom Menace, and original Canon Deco programs. Looking for these figures to arrive spring 2022 exclusively at Walmart. Yay! Well, we get them at... Oh, there's no Walmart in other countries. That's why I didn't do something about this, because someone else told me about it and I completely forgot for a while. It's only at Walmart. How am I supposed to get these? Well, apparently I'm not. But yeah, that's cool. They have micro series things. I mean, I guess the other thing is that someone in America could buy it and ship it to me, but that's ridiculously expensive. They really should ship it to Zing, who got the GameStop exclusives over here in Australia, or have some sort of online store that does international shipping properly. Noticing they have the 50 Lucasfilm Limited in the corner of the packaging, instead of keeping it just to Star Wars Clone Wars without the little logo. I'm going to show the back of these. I guess the back of these would be similar to other things. The back of them will be similar to, let's say, the bigger ones, which has sort of the 50 years of Lucasfilm, but not really when Star Wars hit off. Anyway, I still have yet to see, although I do not look for it. No one's told me that they're doing Indiana Jones figures and stuff, which will be really good because it's 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm, and they should do stuff for their other big franchises too, theoretically. But oh well. The other thing that I might as well mention, I got off topic. I was gonna mention something and now I didn't. And I think I saw a reference sort of at the start of the article. Hang on. Yeah. The whole. It's been a month. We ended up in. I'm gonna just bring it back for a moment. Because of the life situation here at the moment, I just have been demotivated with sitting down and editing and all of that for my YouTube videos, and they've been on the back burner, and I've just been like, anyway, I need to remotivate myself and have to find it in myself and go, look, I'm going to do this now, and I'm going to make myself do it and sort myself out. Because at the moment, it's not been working out. Anyway, the other thing I did more recently, since I haven't been live then, is I'm going to plug myself for a minute. I repurposed my second channel to be Callum John's Films, so my official film work will be there. I got outside of this channel because a bunch of stuff that I've helped work on in a more professional way. And then, I mean, yeah, a lot of time and effort gets put into these, and this is my second channel, which should be in the description as well. I put a link to it on my main page on my normal channel, but here we have a lot of the official stuff I've been working on with college, which has been put up on there. And then also I'm going to be putting my own films. So I've got one there at the moment, and my latest one has some music that I got permission for, but it ended up being permission just for educational purposes. So one guy's making the rest of the music for it, which would be really cool, and I'm gonna put it up when that's done. So goody. But I guess what we really want to get to and what we came here for, now that it's been 15 minutes, if people saw the live notification or saw that I'm going live, then that's a goodie. I forgot to at people in my Discord saying I'm going live here. That might help. Because the bot sort of tells people when I make the stream, but it doesn't tell people when you go live. This will be sort of a bit casual anyway. There we go. It's still inside the month, so I mean, consistency is good. Once I get stuck into editing a bunch of things, which, even Lucasfilm should make more films in just styles than Indiana Jones. Yeah, I mean, it all came from the mind of George Lucas, didn't it? A lot of different types of movies would be great to see, but I think that because they're bought out by Disney now, and the way that the current management isn't particularly conducive to more original ideas from what I've seen. But yes, I believe George Lucas definitely wanted to do the whole smaller film studio thing and do what he wanted to do. It would be great to see different things, but I guess now they're owned by Disney, it's just, yeah. Hello, Iron Inquisitor! Welcome, General Kenobi. I don't do the voice exactly right, but it's close enough to get what I mean. Yeah, I've got a whole thing prepped. I just need to sort out my windows to be able to do things. Because what I did, as a preface to before I completely start this, is I had an assessment as part of college for training skills to do a training session. And I chose to do the importance of law and continuity to a multimedia franchise as a bit of a training session with people. And I thought there's some interesting stuff in here that's worth talking about in relation, especially to Star Wars, because there's my main base of knowledge around this topic and how well it actually benefits things. So if I share my PowerPoint slide, yes, we're going all the way. The importance of lore and continuity to a multimedia franchise. And I just liberally use my photos in my collection that I've got because I can. Would it be cool to show Dawn of the Jedi, the start of it, and stuff here they can run at the bottom. You're saying I know George wants nothing to do with them anymore. It would be great to allow him to direct and release some small films he said he was going to make. I think he also said that he was just going to make those films for his friends and family, wasn't he? But it would be great to see them. I would be happy to see what other work he does as well, especially later on. Because, I mean, as a fan of George Lucas and Star Wars and that, Stargate. Oh, we got a section where you can actually mention a bit more in detail. Because I don't know about Stargate because I've never watched it. And I don't really hear a lot about it from other people other than general mentions. Then again, I keep off a lot of fandom stuff now because, let's be honest, it gets pretty toxic. But yeah, low. Why did I typo in the ticker? There. Yes, so opening up, welcome to talking about the importance of lore and continuity to a multimedia franchise. That's pretty good. Yeah, cool. I just ended up never watching it. It's the same with apparently Battlestar Galactica is really good, but I haven't watched it. Maybe I should, but I find that I don't watch TV shows as much as maybe I should. Of newer TV shows, especially as a film person. I've been watching movies more because I can do here's one film and then it's done sort of thing. Yeah. I'm gonna quit Discord because I don't need it open at the moment. So what I have is I do have outcomes with the little oop noop droid. I got annoyed because my tablet woman died, which I have my screenshots of the whole of the Knights of the Old Republic comic run. So I don't have a lot of the stuff. screenshots from that to be able to use. But anyway, outcomes is to understand the importance of lore building and continuity in a multimedia franchise, especially bigger ones like Star Wars, and how it gets people invested in it. You can find. Oh yeah, I've seen him a bit on the Discord server. Had a blast. That's cool. I'll keep that on the recommendation then whenever I want to start something else. At the moment, I've tried watching Breaking Bad, but the end of season 2, I just can't continue it. Kind of worried. Oh, that's a good topic. We'll talk about that for a minute then. Hang on. I might as well take this off. The Old Republic DLC, the expansions. How it's kind of ruined. I mean, I think the basic story is okay. Like what they're doing at least is continuing something. I've been playing them. I've been enjoying them for what they are. But I think that it'd be better with a canonical retelling, because a lot of the way that the expansions in SWTOR have gone is that they can't really work very, like, it doesn't make sense to have a non-force sensitive go through the whole Valkyrie stuff. And I think we can see a little bit of, even from the short story, quite a story to tell that relies on you playing the game to be able to really get the context for the short story. Thankfully, that's the only one that I know of that needs that. Maybe some of the 6-line short stories did, but they came out earlier anyway. But the short story quality is still there. They can write fairly well. Like I was reading Seeing Red. So the funny thing about Seeing Red is a new short story, right? As I noticed the grammar and the typos as I was reading it. Oh, well, I still haven't come across the Rathars. And I would have no clue about Aftermath and Mandalorian. So those just fly straight over my head. But I think as far as locations, the only thing I've really noticed about SWTOR is the cosmetics. And those I can just ignore because I just play single player in my own story. And I just don't get any of the cosmetics that look wrong. Oh yeah, the amount of times Vishy comes back is ridiculous. He should be going for good now, but you never can tell. It's kind of at a point where you go, we know where there's a cutoff between when the E was decanonized and then where SWTOR continued. We'll see. But yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. I ignore the cosmetics. Anyway, I should probably get back to this. The second outcome is understand the uniqueness of the Star Wars expanding universe in this context. And if Stargate has a great one too, then hey, it's great to hear that something else does do what the EU did. I would say, back to this, thinking of this, at least I haven't made an NPC that uses one. This feels wrong. It's weird for me because I just completely miss some of the stuff. Like, it's also SWTOR, right? There's so much from the main story and the expansions before the decanonization that it really just gets lost amongst a whole lot of stuff. Actually, if you can find references for those and pop them in the chat, I'll prep them for later and talk about them after this. If you can find videos or something that show this is the stuff that was added in, that would be good to know. Because if I find it on stream, I'm probably going and pick it up. I'll probably start recording it and put a little clip up on the channel to talk about it. But yeah. So I'm going to start really basic. I'm going to assume zero knowledge and just go on what is law and law building. So basically, we've got the knowledge of traditions of cultures that gets passed down, often by word of mouth, or the history of a fictional world, which can also be word of mouth. And so when you get a lot of contradictions, that is very different to a continuity error, because contradictions are the same story but told from the different points of view. Those points of view, when it comes from word of mouth, are very much open to like the Chinese whispers sort of thing. Oh, okay. That's another topic. It's very easy to go for people to know the movies and what happened with the Snyder Cut. For people to actually know about the expanded universe properly, they have to invest thousands of dollars, or they can get stuff, alternative methods. But it's still a lot of stuff to read, a lot of time to be taken to be able to understand the universe properly and to read the content, because I think the only way that you're ever going to truly understand the universe, you can listen to people on YouTube and whatnot, however much. You can read Wikipedia, which is inaccurate, and a bunch of stuff. But it's very easy to go, we're going to watch a few movies, and we read up about what Snyder originally intended, and great, let's get behind it. Even casual fans of the DC cinematic universe can jump on board with that, and it can become a whole movement, which indeed did succeed and get the Snyder Cut released. Now, I think that got released because that was already shot, and there was already the edit there, pretty much, which also really helped. Whereas Sales EU, there's not as many people that would actually buy the stuff, although Heart of the Jedi was a top seller. I've still got 2 copies in the corner. Star Wars EU is very much a thing that a lot of people have to continue on with. But also, as you say back here, you don't think Disney can make good EU stories. That's also a factor. There's people that do know the expanded universe that go, well, why would I want them to continue it when I don't think that they would do a good job of it? And the way we've been shafted by their PR. Conspiracy theory and stuff. Look, it's possible, but yes. I think I'm on the skeptical side of them continuing EU, because we don't have many people that actually understand the EU. That's the thing that really got to me, and I get annoyed at. Like, who can I lift off the top of my head? I can, like, 6, 7 people that I know for sure properly know the expanded universe that I've talked to. And then the rest, I'm not assuming too much knowledge, but I'm just saying those are the people that I actually know and in contact with that know the expanded universe. Whereas a lot of the time on social media that I see people talk about expanding universe and continuing the EU, people don't know jack about the expanded universe. And yes, you can forget things. I forget a lot of things, to be honest, that because it's so huge. But yeah, that's why you don't understand the expanding universe and what made it unique, and that's what the point of this whole section, this whole topic is for the stream. It's a singular continuity. Oh, multiverses? We don't do that here. No, we don't do that here. There's a Marvel reference, but still. I find that Yeah, but then there's also people that I haven't talked to that probably know the EU, so there's that too. But the amount of people that would actually buy Expanding Universe, Heart of the Jedi was a great one, but what about Star Wars Marvel 108? A lot of people skimp that. Like Facebook groups. I know a friend that's in a few of them. I racked off on some of them because it was stupid. Yeah. Yeah, most of the casuals don't know much. Exactly. Like people might have played some of the games or read a couple of the books, but don't really know the EU. But he in admin groups, he was the only one that bought Marvel 108. Pretty much. Out of all of the admin groups that he's in. Like I'm the only other one that got Sales Marvel 108. And I pre-ordered a signed copy that never came, and so he ended up getting an extra copy for me, which was really great. People want them to adapt the EU with source material. Look, there's room for adaptation. We're going off on a side rant here. But that's okay because it's a stream. We can do stuff. You can view them as an adaptation. There's room for that, but not everything will be able to be adapted. I just want Blum and some of the more obscure stuff to be reprinted. Like, what about the stories in the Episode 1 adventures? The only telling of what actually canonically got Jar Jar Binks exiled. Which is kind of important to his character. And you don't get much story about Jar Jar Binks because of the way that was viewed, the public viewed him, even though I don't mind him as much. It's also interesting to read because all the Gungan speak is phonetic. Yeah, that's not gonna work out. Because if they're made canon, which they already were, and technically, if you try not to read between the lines and just read the article outright, they didn't technically decanonize, but they just shoved it in a bin and labeled it something else, which is basically decanonization. But yeah. Yeah, I do find it would be hard for casuals to understand the whole situation. That's maybe a video I should make at one point, and I should get on to doing some of the videos that I wanted to make of some Star Wars EU basics, which I created a playlist for. I think that the whole situation between explaining what happened with the Star Wars Expanded Universe would be a useful video to provide. And then casuals can understand it without having to do digging. But at the end of the day, just enjoy the stories you enjoy. Like, if you enjoyed stuff for the new canon, that's fine. I got someone in my Discord that has been posting random High Republic stuff, I think. And I'm just like, no one interacts with that. Well, one person did recently, but not as many people. Oh, yeah. They just happen to have a character with the same name. They don't actually think, and it's like the reference of, I think there was a Revan reference in one of the source books. Source books, Leland Chi stated on a Twitter thing that they don't make things canon, but also a reference doesn't mean that all of the events that happen in the EU were made canon. Like, I think they referenced the Mandalorian Wars or something, but that doesn't make any of the comics canon that show the Mandalorian Wars, like in KOTOR comics and that sort of stuff. That just means there was a Mandalorian War also in the new canon. It does help a bit. You can also just look at it. Does help on the shelf for sure, and sort of make your peace with it. But yeah, the whole debate is ridiculous, and that's why I don't end up looking in a lot of the fandom, because there's other people always crapping on Disney, going you post something on Facebook or something, and the first comment is, oh, Disney crap for not keeping this. No. When it's actually Lucasfilm, technically, that made the story decisions, but Disney can veto things. Yeah, I mean, it's a multiverse. As I view that, all of the different universes are canon because they can just hop to different universes, right? We'll get to something. All right, I better continue with this. Building lore. There is a full high quality version of the Star Wars timeline that's in the front of the books. If you want that, you can message me. And that is the entire lot. I think it includes some comics, but yeah, that's the entire lot there. Just out of interest. Building lore leads to, I feel like, a lot more credence and feeling like it's actually possibly more like the theory of Star Wars history actually happened to a world that we are being transported to in the story. For example, in the first Star Wars movie, the Clone Wars were already mentioned by Obi-Wan, and is explained as what has positioned the world the way it is. Oh yeah, I mean, I still like to collect everything without the label on, but that's me for my collection. But I'm not totally against having some sort of label on there. I just feel like it's a double-edged sword. Legends never die, but then also, and legends don't burn down villages, but also we get a bunch of talking about, well, legends and myths didn't really happen, sort of thing. So sort of a double-edged term. And it tends to be a label. It's like, well, it's like how S canon was treated even before, and I don't like the way that they treated S canon as much. Is they didn't bother to go through the content. They just put it in a bin of stuff that, if it gets referenced, we might go back to and look at some of the stuff. But yeah. Yes. The Essential Legends collection is basically an excuse to print less books, because they just go, here's the stuff that is even less, but we think of the essential things, and go, well, what are we going to do about that? What's going to happen? Instead of just going, we're reprinting legends, as you say, the double-edged sword. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going with this. Let's see. Yes, departing from Star Wars example, because I want to bring in more stuff. We also see it in other great fictional works with lore building, with the Chronicles of Narnia, the Lord of the Rings, especially. And then more multimedia. DC and Marvel have built the lore to their stories, even if it doesn't include a lot of different universes going back and forth and all of that. And I think DC and Marvel, I haven't got into as much because there are so many multiverses. But yeah, I agree, because that makes it a lot harder for people who want to get into the stuff to actually collect the books in physical form and then make a lot of money off of it. And don't do stuff like making the Star Wars Insider collections half new canon, half EU. Anyway, so what is continuity? Because we're going through the whole thing. First is the unbroken and consistent existence or operation of something over time, which I think is relevant. Non-official. Well, we do get the SWOTOR.com stories. The Seeing Red is a Mandalorian story you could read without too much context, because it's a nice little thing. if you make sure to check those out. I've also been keeping track of it in my timeline and adding them in, as well as short story compendiums, so that I've saved them in case photo.com ever goes down. But yeah, other than that, what's the, like, technically those are official EU stories. If you know of any others, let me know, because Swotor.com is the only place I really see, other than Twitter, if people share it around. Yes, the unbroken and consistent existence or operation over time, or the maintenance of continuous action and self-consistent detail in various scenes of film or broadcasts. Yeah, that was the 2 points I had on that slide. For the purpose of a multimedia franchise in this case, I really just Googled definitions here so that I could talk about it. We'll go with the first definition, which is the unbroken and consistent existence or operation of something over time, which I think the main word is consistent, because continuity is what makes a world, at least for me, believable and get me sucked in really quickly, especially what happened with Star Wars, when I went as a little kid and gone, oh, I want to look up this character on the internet. Oh, this happened with this person, etc., etc. I didn't have to worry about the bloomin' is this canon or not thing, but let's put that aside for the moment. The unbroken and consistent operation of something over time, I think, is what really gets people invested, especially hardcore fans. That is a separate topic. I've been doing this anyway, let's do it. Fans should continue the stories. If you look into the expanding universe fandom a bit more, you can see that the ones that do know the EU more, or some of the ones that are a bit more vocal about things, maybe that don't know the EU as much or haven't actually experienced the EU as much, tend to not agree on everything. And so it ends up being a problem, because yes, I think it's great if people write fan fiction to continue it, but when it doesn't have the official seal from Lucasfilm, I mean, people won't really. If any stories do major things, people won't accept them now anyway, because it's from current management Lucasfilm. But when it comes to having like George Lucas approval and stuff, a lot of the stories got ticked off before the decanonization, and that is what really gives people the confidence to go, well, this is actually canon in his world. Well, in his overall world, he had his own headcanon, but Lucasfilm always controlled did a whole, here's the canon tier so we can actually make sense of things. Oh yeah, Heart of the Jedi. Yeah. Oh, hello, GIM and Thrones Analyze. Interesting one. Hey, good to see you. Hello. That's also an interesting example we could bring up later, is Game of Thrones, because you get ones that compare. But anyway. And then, yeah, unbroken and consistent existence of operation of something over time being stuff that will actually get people invested, and also unbroken, meaning you don't do anything too much. Hey, pal, it's nice to see you again. I'm streaming at a different time. That should be better for people that may usually watch my videos rather than catch my Twitch streams. Yeah, I mean, they can put things as their headcanon if they want. I think people just want Mace Windu to be alive, to be honest. Maybe a bit too much. I'd say Darth Maul was really stretching it that he came back from the dead. I don't see Windu surviving. He probably got knocked out by the pain and the lightning, and then fell. And in the original script, they also said that he died. It is kind of cringe. I mean, if you're gonna accept Vader fan film as your headcanon, then I would say there are other fan films that deserve recognition as well. I should put the ticker back on. For that. Something to do with Plagueis. Hey. I don't see the evidence, but whatever you want to believe for your headcanon, as long as you make sure you say, this is my headcanon, it's fine. It's when people try to state their headcanon as fact that is the problem. But yeah, also in this, there's retroactive continuity, which explains something that may have appeared to be a mistake, or it was an error, and then they corrected it. Because remember, an error only becomes a mistake if you refuse to correct it. Good old throwing quotes. And so that actually is more a contradiction than an error or mistake. And that's what happened with TCW, is a lot of the stuff seems to really be mistakes rather than errors. Yeah. For sure. And of course, that's all stuff. Retroactive continuity, especially with Clone Wars and Thrawn stuff, they didn't know what the Clone Wars would actually be like exactly. George Lucas banned the prequel era because he was doing that. Yeah. Oh, that's a good question, actually. I'm gonna do this for a minute. Yeah, we didn't know what the Clone Wars was going to take. George hadn't established every single thing. And so there is that. With the Clone Wars in the Thrawn books, and so retcons that explained, they perceived it differently. I mean, especially with you see some evidence of I think a really good example is reading the Tales of and From books, because in Payback: The Tale of Dengar, they go through a planet that has a brainwashing center. I think that is great that they established the Compnor brainwashing centers and stuff, because that can explain a lot of things in between, and that was even before the prequels came out. Are all retcons legit? It's as legit as whatever Lucasfilm will tell you is canon. I mean, official retcons, yes, technically they are all legitimate. But when you say you think retcons are case by case, I think that really comes down to what you're personally willing to accept in your headcanon. Like, for me, there is a lot of stuff in the Clone Wars which I just put to S canon instead of going, it's actually trumping the original multimedia project. But that's my headcanon as well. And more books like Heart of the Jedi. The thing is, Heart of the Jedi was already written, and so they released it in some form. We need Escape from Dagu, though. We need to get into the author and get him to at least release some form of it, just from his little personal archives. Yeah. Well, where was my train of thought with this again? Consistent existence. Also, with the unbroken and consistent existence, we can get, when it's unbroken and consistent existence, oh look, the EU went for 37 years. So when you actually get a continuity that people care about and are invested in, and you build the connections well and write it well, especially between all the different authors and everything, people will actually be giving money to this thing that is continuing to exist. And then by creating quality product, you get money, you keep it going, you get more money from keeping it going. It all makes sense, doesn't it? And indeed, Escape from Dagu. The stuff that's already written, for sure, can come out. I mean, What are they gonna do? Not pay the EU authors? There's a bit on the nose there, but still, what are they gonna do? They can't. They can still write fan fiction. Got example. I did a video of it. Fragile Threads. If you find that is written by the original Patricia Jackson that wrote West End game stories, and then just wrote a little short story as fan fiction on Wattpad, and continued it that way. Which is not a problem because it's fan fiction. They're not trying to make money off of it. And also with Heart of the Jedi, that got taken down because it was obvious copyright because they were selling it. And I think even though it was provided at cost, Amazon makes some money off of it. They must. Yes, pay the authors that deserve to be paid. I know. That was all ridiculous. That is why unions exist. But yeah, continuity, retcons, clearing up confusion, kill. But why is it important? Yes. Galaxy of Fear needs to be reprinted. Looking at this and saying about other things. Rewrote into another story. I don't really know much about that. But hey, it's their story. They can do what they want with it. A lot of the core themes and stories and stuff are very much similar because of stories repeating the same things. Because, I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, but it's only different ways of doing it and execution that make a big difference. So that's cool. But yeah, why is it important? Let's look at real world history for a moment. I have the example of the Bible because, we're looking at that. When the original written scripts that consist of the original Bible were put together in one volume, it was decided what is and what was not a valid entry into the series. So there is that. Oh, yes, all of that. I think Junior and Young Jedi Knights, Jedi Apprentice. Also, I saw Rebel Force was reprinted at a shop one time, like one of the books. I didn't find any others. I mean, hey, if they're not going to be able to release this story, why not? Why not repurpose it? Why not? It's totally their prerogative. And as long as they don't take the Star Wars name, then hey, they can make whatever. Anyway, how did they do that? Well, it was at least in part to the continuity of how each of the books in the Bible flow together as one uniform whole. And so when they decided what was canon to the Bible, they picked what made sense and all of the connecting dots. And then also you have some apocryphal books which were not included in the main Bible that was decided by the church that was not actually part of it, but people writing some things that weren't true. In the same way, I mean, as a Christian, I can read the Bible and say this is what happened. And so I believe it, and it forms a consistent whole throughout the whole thing. I mean, yes, you get some contradictions, but you don't get continuity errors. And build a fictional world with the storytelling as a basis. In the same way, Sherlock Holmes builds its own continuity and was the origin for using canon in fictional literature, of doing the whole thing of the stuff from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is canon and the stuff from others were not. That was him putting his foot down and saying, this actually happened, this did not, sort of thing. And so it's important for people getting invested in the story to go, wait, what is happening here? And then actually making sense. It just tricks so many people. Hey, look, I thought I'd put that there because I use the Bible example anyway. If people are going to get triggered, they get triggered at the Bible. And stuff like that. And yeah, so Sherlock Holmes sort of started off with fictional universes. And then I think what happened with lore and continuity as it went on, especially with bigger stuff like Star Wars, it grew to become a whole where Lucasfilm would approve it rather than just, oh, the stuff from the original author was canon. Because, 1991, the Thrawn trilogy burst off the shelf, and it ended up becoming more than just a single author, because there was comics and stuff that, if it was all just stuff from George Lucas, then we'd only have the movies pretty much and some of the stuff. But yeah, Snyder is gonna do that with the Star Wars script. Huh, interesting. I haven't really looked behind the scenes in Snyder, so that could be interesting. And who knows? But yeah, that sort of things. But yes, here's where we get to what are some of people's favorite franchises. Stargate, I think I mentioned before. Yeah, I mean, also at this point, CJH, we have so much stuff. I forget what I read a few years ago now, so I can just keep rereading what we have. Oh, I can verify that if I have a look. See, where are my files? Insider issue 23. If I have a look at Insider issue 23. I've got a few examples to talk about that I know a bit more of. Let's have a look. See, Insider issue 23. If I take this off for a minute, share the window. Rare photos of Star Wars Holiday Special. Hang on, I'm going to make this bigger. You're worried about the new show Lord of the Rings? Possibly. But I would say that the books are the original text of the universe, and the movies are an adaptation. So what's actually canon would be in the original text. That's why I put novels above movies a lot of the time in my head, because novels can give a lot more information. As a fan of the movies, I mean, the movies left out a lot, to be honest. Like, you see how big the books are. Also, if they followed the movies, they would have to follow the Hobbit movies, and the original book of the Hobbit was, in my opinion, better. I haven't watched Watchmen either. I would be lost if I watched it though. Hang on. I can't word search this. If you know a page, then they're good. Oh, I've got someone. Hang on for a minute. I'm going to have to go on break. Just a minute. Alright, well, someone's upstairs, so I'll try and be quieter. So I had NBN guy in trouble coming up. Just out of interest, and for my internet, so hopefully my internet stays working. But there's a whole thing of, perfect time to get copyrighted. Look, there's all this music from Swator actually is fine. So Cantini music from Swator would work. Licensing and stuff, but yeah, I'm gonna go ASMR mode for a minute. Yeah, we're back. Look, let's see. Zach is adapting, yeah. PJ, look, there's two versions. The books are masterpieces as well, and they've gone through revisions because of appendices, but they're untouchable too, pretty much. Torn. I think that it was always Lucasfilm. George Lucas is one man. To keep track of hundreds of pieces of material for one person is too much. So that's why he needed to hire a continuity editor or two, like Leland Chee, Alan Korsh, and then go in and say, look, Lucasfilm, you have the authority to put the stamp of approval on stuff, because I can't comb through everything and make sure it all lines up. You know what I mean? And we'll see for a minute if the guy needs to talk. If you hear him upstairs, that's him. And cool. So yeah, I'll have a look inside issue 23 later, and if I find the page, I'll send that through Discord probably. I'll send it through both of our Discords, Iron Inquisitor. It should be good. Right. If I go back to here, it should be good. Franchises, right. So, Doctor Who was the first one I thought of. Yeah, basically. But then he also ticked off and advised on a lot of the major EU stuff, like the History of the Sith, Thrawn trilogy. He ticked off and approved, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's the Splinter of the Mind's Eye foreword that he put in that said he realized it was not his story to tell anymore, but it was allowing everyone else to add into it. Look, honestly, they guilt tripped him so much. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that, because he wanted some sort of say, and he cobbled together something from notes that he originally had for a 789, but then condensed them into 6, or just put some notes down of stuff that he's like, yeah, whatever, yeah, this is what I was thinking of. Because I don't really believe he ever intended to make a 789. So yeah. Anyway, Doctor Who. At least with New Who, they sort of soft reboot between every Doctor, which makes sense for their formulaic TV version that they've got, which is different. And then the whatever books and other stuff are generally not canon to the main TV show. But then some of the audio dramas are canon to the specific Doctors. Like they've done some Big Finish, I think they're called. I haven't actually listened to any of them or whatever, but some of the audio dramas are canon, like the Big Finish ones, a lot of the time. Ones that David Tennant is still doing. Oh ho ho. Did he now? He banned the prequel era. Okay, 1 sec. I'll be back with quotes. Duh. And the natural light from here keeps changing. That's why I tend to record at night more. 20th anniversary, Age of the Empire, in the foreword. I found the thing anyway. From Hal Rothman at Lucas Licensing. When Age of the Empire was released, it says, we established some very basic guidelines. The stories would have to take place after Return of the Jedi. Events prior to A New Hope were off limits because if George were ever to make more Star Wars films, that was where he would go. And no major characters could be killed. Does that tell you that he was intending to do a sequel trilogy? Well, if you don't believe that, we have Star Wars, the ultimate visual guide. Where I gotta find the page now. Which page was it? He banned the prequel era, but I think Tales of the Jedi was so far back that it was fine. Yeah. Because it was thousands of years before, it was fine because he only intended to do things. I forget what page this is on. Expanding the universe. It should be in that one. Behind the scenes. Okay, 150. Those are some noisy birds. Let's see. Oh, look, it has a filmography of George Lucas. Where is it? I haven't had to pull this out a lot. I've done a video on it on my Defending the Expanded Universe playlist where I screenshotted it. Expanding the Universe. I forget which page this is on now, to be honest. Can I see if I've got a picture of it? Ryder Wyndham basically wrote this. And in it he says George Lucas originally planned to do a 9-part saga, but then settled on the 6-part saga. It's somewhere. I'm not going to troll for it too much now, but I've got it in a video too. Yeah, Harry Potter extended versions of those films. It will be interesting. Remakes tend not to do things well nowadays. I ran over my cord, dang it. What am I even? Remakes tend to not be a thing that I really like nowadays. I prefer them to do it as a sequel, so at least Space Jam 2 did a sequel with their story. Yeah. Technically, Tales of the Jedi prequels, but it's not in the time of the prequel movies. Yeah, you can get quotes from George on either side, for sure. Yes, in the Thrawn trilogy, the Clone Wars were mentioned in 1977 or even 1976 when the novel for Star Wars from the Adventures of Luke Skywalker, yeah. So the original Star Wars movie came out, and then the novel came out the year before. Yeah, because people were writing the stories, and they really shouldn't have touched it because George was gonna do it. But he saw the popularity of the character, and I think that the authors wanted to capitalize on the popularity of the characters as well. Yes, in the first film, but also the bits that were a little bit inconsistent, possibly, were because of authors writing things that maybe they shouldn't have, but it was a good way to try and connect everything in. Yeah. Before the prequel movies came out, they mentioned it post Return of the Jedi as an event that happened because it was an important event in Star Wars history. So there is that. And in the comic of the Thrawn trilogy, they have a depiction of anyway. Classic Who tended to be a bit more uniform in how it worked. But the biggest change in New Who is it seems to ignore some things from different doctors for the story of the other doctors afterwards. And that's as far as I know on Doctor Who. And yeah, I hope they do something about the new ones. Anyway. And that's part of retcons, right? Is that it can be explained. Like, I think the best way to explain it is just as speculation, is people thought he was a former stormtrooper because you never see his face. He's not fat, he's thick. Yeah, Doctor Who. Star Trek. Reportedly, it keeps this book separate to the TV show continuity. I have never read or never really properly seen Star Trek. I think they also rebooted it for new movies, so there is that. Oh, well, that doesn't affect the EU though, so we're fine. Yeah, he was meant to be a villain that wasn't Vader. Because, I mean, you want to have multiple things, and also introduce the concept of bounty hunters, which is cool. But yeah, Star Trek, I don't know that much about, so I just know that it keeps this book separate to the TV show continuity. Never looked into it, so I can't say too much on that front. We have DC, which is multiple timelines, but reportedly, and I've listened to some on Comic Story and as dramatic readings, makes it integral to the plot of the universe. Whereas, as I've heard, I don't think Marvel does. Like, they have multiple timelines, but they only cross them over for funsies. And not as deeply as DC, to my knowledge. Now, someone can correct me on that because I don't really know them. Yeah, I don't know even that. Yeah, Zala. But they also showed that they also wrote that into the Han Solo trilogy, AC Crispin, which is really cool. Zala Salazend? But I think something like that. Yeah, do you want to shoot me the title of that? because that is interesting to know. But DC and Marvel also both have separate cinematic universes, and who knows what will happen with that. One sec. Oh yeah, true. The original Marvel styles are also, yeah, that's right. Duh. Obi-Wan in spandex. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's quite easy to explain some things away as history lost a bit as well, and people trying to lie to use him. That's where retcons come into play. But yeah, they both had separate cinematic universes and stuff. Firefly is a big one at the moment that I've noticed. And yeah, I thought he was talking to me, but he's speaking a language I don't understand. Firefly is good because at the moment that's all one continuity, even though Boom Studios comics with Greg Pak have been a bit skirting the edge of what makes sense with continuity. So there's that. Yes, he still had the sass though. That's what they got really well in that issue, is they got the sass of Obi-Wan, which was great. And I'm going to do this for a minute. I think this is best delivered by a large multimedia franchise, because Firefly isn't large at the moment, by Star Wars, of course, with the expanded universe, because it's now split. But looking at the 37 years of expanded universe that came out, it was part of one consistent whole, but it also grew, and they were trying to manage continuity as it grew. And so that is so much more than what a lot of other franchises have done. As well as that, it's a great example to look up to, and I've been inspired by it, that if I ever create a franchise that is that big, I would take sort of the blueprint for how they keep continuity and put it into play of having continuity editors on staff. They'll be able to keep track of everything when it does get huge, and have the holocron type database to be able to do that. And also, I think making it very clear from the start, like Infinities came up later and all of that, and being able to do that. Oh, someone joined the stream! Woo! Quinlan Voss, hello! Not sure why your picture's not coming up. You're muted. All right, we'll keep you there. When you unmute, you can say hello. I'll keep going at the moment. We sort of all know here what happened in the history. It's what gets me invested in the universe. It's always something I'm considering when writing stories myself. And I am way off of wanting to do rip-offs and sequels to things that have been ages. All right, you'll be on later in 15 minutes. Cool. Just shoot a message to the chat then, because we have the private chat here when you're doing. I didn't see the message before I brought you on, so there we go. So cool. No worries. But yeah, I find all the remakes and sequels of things that are years past. Remakes, sequels have to be done right. Otherwise, it just feels like they're doing it for a money cash grab. And then cool. So we've got some examples from different ones. Apparently, Stargate has a good one. Iron Inquisitor was saying. Yeah. Those are different forms that continuity is taken in different things, and definitely people have gotten into different things. I think for the case of Marvel and DC, because they're primarily a comics platform, it makes sense when they want to sell comics to the new kids and they don't want the next generation to be so confused by the different what's going on, and they don't have to go and get back issues of things. So that makes a lot of sense with the comic format there. And there's just different ways of doing things. Which way is best? Well, I think that depends on the nature of your particular franchise. Yeah, they could have done more. They did. They should have done more, because that would have been really cool to fill in that gap. But then I guess they had allotted a certain amount of comics and whatever for everything. I'd say continuity and lore building are part of writing a story. But if you don't write your story well, if you're treating it separately, if you don't write your story well, no one will get invested enough to be able to build the lore and continuity to such an expansive rate as we're talking about here with Souls EU and stuff, because people won't buy into it. Star Wars Expanded Universe is the big one, obviously. Between novels, comics, video games, and all of that, they connected them together and it was epic. Okay, so then what I do have space for is Star Wars EU is unique in this context. It's the largest singular continuity with multiple authors and mediums that has existed amongst multimedia franchises. ASOIAF, I'm not familiar with it. I mean, the priority is quality storytelling. If you write good story, then that'll be good. Otherwise, yeah. Are you good now, Quinlan? Since you rejoined. Nope, that's fine. I'll just see when the private chat says you're ready. We're good. Now, as it grew developed, both in the way it handled continuity as well as quality of storytelling, I feel like, because especially when it changed from Bantam to Del Rey, there was a change. And some people really like the Bantam era. Bantam era is really good. But I think... Oh, just a moment, I have to mute again. Today's not going well. I'm going to have to finish quickly. As an example to future franchises, I mentioned that. Look, the guy once seen Powerboard that I've got plugged into my other modem. So I won't be able to do the stream much longer. So I'm gonna have to cut this short. There's so many sci-fi franchises. Oh yes. I think it's good to have plans if you're writing a story to inform on your story with a lot of lore building and stuff, but you can also definitely have more things. Questions, I don't think I have time for because I have to go. Well then, thanks for joining. It's been good. I'll just finish up in a minute because I have to. Sorry, Quinlan. Life situation. The guy came early for fixing the ambient, and then he's on the thing. Yeah. Since you never got to be on. Or you can definitely give some thoughts in the chat too. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that. All right. I'll have to finish up now. So thank you guys for joining and watching. I will catch you later because I have to go. Bye.